I'm Carrie.
I'm Toni, and we are
Two Cranky Creatives.
This podcast is brought to you by the Graphics Gang, our online community you can find at patreon.com/graphics gang. Paid members can also watch many of the unedited podcast video recordings.
Hi, everyone. So we're going outside of our usual cadence and bringing this to you in between two regularly scheduled episodes because we wanted to react in a timely fashion to some big changes that have happened in the industry. And we also wanted to give you a chance to get to know us. So take a listen and we hope you enjoy.
So what are we cranky about today, Toni?
We are cranky about other people's platforms, Carrie, and how vulnerable you are when you are on somebody else's site. That's what we're thinking about today.
Me too.
Right? And how crazy it's like, I mean, just off the top of my head, in the last month, TikTok, Society 6, design cuts.
Yep.
Right?
Just in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Absolutely crazy. Like, I was never on TikTok, for real in any way. I dabbled. I maybe did 2 or 3 reels, but honestly, I hate that shit. So I'm not good at it. So, I don't watch TikTok. I'm just, maybe I'm too old, right?
That's what I keep saying. I'm not on TikTok that much either. And I'm like, why am I not getting this?
Right. When I was still teaching English at the local university. So this is 2019. I was teaching freshmen and somebody said something about TikTok. I literally had to be like, what is TikTok? And they looked at me like my head was exploding. And I was just like, I have no clue. But Congress banned it. Obviously it didn't last very long, but for a couple accounts I follow them on Instagram. So I'm really getting their TikToks repurposed on Instagram. We're this is where I make my money and it's all going away. Yep. Right. And you can't do anything about it. It just went away.
And you know what's weird is TikTok went away. All of a sudden they took it down and then it came back up. But apparently they still have to have a new CEO now or something like that. So they have a 75-day grace period or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's still uncertain as to whether or not TikTok is going to be around in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully the creators are making backup plans,
Yeah. And that brings us to, Society 6. Today we're, it's February 2025. And about a year ago, Society 6 and Redbubble said, hey, everybody, guess what? We're going to start charging you fees. And now a year later in February of 2025, Society 6 basically chose, some people to stay on their platform.
Right.
And then said goodbye, thanks, but no thanks to a bunch of other accounts.
Right.
With no warning.
Right. And the email, so I saw copies of both emails and post and full disclosure, I am not on Society 6. I was for a while. I decided POD was not where I wanted to spend my time, closed everything down. I'm only on Spoonflower and I'm building out on Fine Art America, but I'm not on Society 6 at all. But I did see in the various groups that I'm within, posts of both emails. And I thought they were fairly explicit. And here's the thing. In America, a business is allowed to make business decisions. So they are making decisions that they believe are right for their corporate mandate, which I don't know if they're a publicly traded company or not, but their corporate mandate is to turn a profit. We're in a capitalist society. Their corporate, that is their mandate. They're making decisions that are best for them, and they are allowed to do that. Whether we as artists agree with them or not, they are allowed to do that. So what are they doing? They are basically, at least in what I saw, saying that they are going to a curated experience that will allow them to stay more on top of trends in the marketplace for their consumers. That's how they're positioning it. The long story short of that means that some people got invited to stay and other people are getting their shops closed down, whether they want it or not, effective in March. I don't remember which day in March, but in March.
The 18th.
The 18th.
So it's in 7 weeks or something like that. But in the meantime, I am on Society 6 and I was just on there today. And I was like, oh, I want to look at, my designs or whatever. I think, you can't, I know for a fact they won't let you upload anything new. So I don't know if you can even make any changes right now whether you're invited or not. I think they kind of just locked it down until they figure out, until the whole March 18th date comes, and then they separate the staying artists from the other ones that aren't staying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't even you can't upload anything, because I upload stuff to Society6 pretty regularly. I can't do it until, I guess, March 18th now.
Yeah. I mean, and that makes sense if they're making platform changes, because they would need to need to control their servers and all that other stuff, and I think the thing is, and this is kind of just a reality of our industry, is that the majority of us are not hosting our own shops, right? A lot of us are using print on demand as a way to get noticed, as a way to, put our products out there, for those patterns that somebody hasn't decided to license. And we're still, that way we can still make money on our art, but the reality is that makes you vulnerable. Now, do I agree or disagree with Society6? Honestly, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what I think about it. I feel for artists who have taken a lot of time, and invested in Society6 to be told, sayonara, we don't want you.
Yeah.
Like I can only imagine the blow to their creative confidence. At that, because it's almost like being told you're not good enough. In polite corporate speak.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's like a betrayal and a rejection. It's got to feel really awful. And I mean, from what I can tell, the majority of what they're doing is based on AI and the fact that they've been flooded with, I guess, spam accounts, or at the very least, accounts where people are uploading, however many hundreds of designs that are AI generated, that are just flooding the platform and, making it impossible for all of us, whether you are, a top seller on Society6 or you've never made one sale, it still muddies the water. So it's very hard to get found. And it's just gotten worse and worse over the years with print on demand in general, because the market is flooded. And it is saturated with art. Now, I'm not going to say it's saturated with good art, but, there is a lot of art so if you search for something, if you search for like a dog wearing a hat, eating a popsicle, you're not, you're probably going to get hundreds of images. Some of them are going to be created by real legit artists who drew the dog or painted the dog. And then a lot of them, maybe most of them, are going to be AI generated images that were created in 10 seconds flat by, who knows, a bot or somebody who, doesn't spend the time to create it. So it's very hard for customers to weed through that kind of art. So I understand why they're doing it. But yeah, I have to say to all of you out there listening, and I know, Toni feels the same way. We feel your pain. It sucks. That is painful. And I am so sorry that happened, because that does feel yucky. It just feels bad.
Absolutely. And it's not a reflection in any way, shape, or form in your value or worth as an artist.
Exactly.
It's just a corporate decision that for whatever reason, you caught the brunt of it. Take a deep breath, push forward, let it go. And
you know what? I also say too, it may be that you were maybe inactive on Society6. So it's not that they even looked at people's art. A lot of people get on there, they put up a few things, and then they forget about it.
Right.
And the thing is, I regularly upload to Society6. So I am on there. Like, I actually have a calendar reminder once every 2 weeks to upload new art to Society6. Now, I should have probably been even doing it more, but whatever. It's not, it doesn't matter. But I still upload regularly to stay relevant, especially if I create new art, or, I hear about a trend and I want to create something and put it on there. And because I license my art through Society6, I feel like that behooves me to do that. But a lot of people, I think, put their art on Society6 and then we're like, you know what? Okay, this is a lot of work to upload my art and place it on all these products. And then they just kind of walked away and forgot about it. I'm under the impression, and I don't know for sure, that some of the people that were not invited to stay were accounts like that, which were legit artists. But that doesn't mean that all hope is lost, because Society6 is saying, in the future, you can apply to become an artist. So if you really are like, oh my God, this is terrible, I spent all this time, maybe like go and curate a little collection of art and wait and see what happens and reapply. And, maybe make sure it's all in the same style, or maybe you do a series of like 4 or 5 illustrations. I don't know what the application process is going to be like, but I don't think it's worth walking away forever. If you really are determined to be on Society 6, it's just going to be a different process.
Yeah, I agree. And they said that their application will be up in March. Whenever that March 18th-ish date is, I'm expecting they're going to have some more information for everybody.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they made their decisions, and yes, I'm sure there were inactive accounts. I'm sure there were, whatever, they had their criteria. They have not made their criteria public that I am aware of.
Right.
So we don't necessarily know. I think it is fair to assume that yes, inactive accounts would be the first to go. That said, again, the one thing they did clearly state though is they were looking for on-trend art.
Yes,
and
that's
so,
true.
Yeah, so if your art was not particularly on trend, you may have not been invited. But what does that mean? That means if you got on-trend art, then that's what you reapply with.
Or a little hint here too. So when they say on trend, you know what that really means is made sales.
Mm-hmm.
So a trend is so subjective. I mean,
right.
Like there's some art that's always on trend, florals. Okay. It may be that they're saying on trend, but what they really mean is made sales. But, here's a little hint. If you have art on Redbubble or Spoonflower that does make sales, you have proof that it sells.
Yeah.
So maybe if that wasn't on Society 6 before, maybe consider applying with that art. And then who knows what the application process is going to be like again, but maybe you can show proof of concept and say, look, I've made, this has sold, because if you go on Redbubble, you can see how many times you've sold a piece of art. Yeah. It actually gives you a number. There's a little $sign icon under the image in your manage portfolio section, and then it'll give you a number next to the $sign. That's how many sales you made. And Spoonflower, it's a little harder to tell. I always save my Spoonflower sales emails. I just filter them into a folder. But, if I have like a title of my art, that's like geometric daisies or something, and I go in my email and I search for like Spoonflower geometric daisies, I can find how many times it sold on Spoonflower, even back to, as long as I save the email, the beginning of when I was on Spoonflower. So, you have a proof of concept with other print-on-demand platforms that it does sell. So, and granted, the Society 6 audience is different, but, I feel like there are other ways to kind of work around this in the future. It depends on how they're going to do it, but I don't want anybody to be like, ugh, and just throw up your hands and write them off completely, because as a Society 6 artist, my art that's in Target, that happened through Society 6. So I licensed it with Deny Designs, and Deny Designs found me, or I found them, and then showed them my portfolio on Society 6. They're the ones who put me in Target. Yeah. So it's worth not giving up on, if you really are determined. And I was really determined. So, it's don't lose all hope, but yeah, it's just a wait and see situation right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about design cuts, and then let's talk about just like the nature of the beast with other people's platforms in our industry. So design cuts. So they just closed and didn't tell everybody a damn fucking thing. Right? Like no email, no nothing. And there was all kinds of speculation, rumors, rampant, whatever. Like supposedly, I never saw proof or evidence to back this up, but supposedly the EULA user license agreement with Amazon, I can't AWS, Amazon Web Services, like they paid per download. So that's why they didn't let anybody know. So you could go download your stuff. Now I lost a couple freebies. I am rampantly anal about downloading and saving everything I ever buy. So I have like folders of zip files that is just like,
you back it up, right?
Yeah, I back it up relentlessly. So I missed out on a couple of freebies, no big deal. I just thought the way it was handled was really shitty. Any huge, because first of all, and Carrie, I know you were a teacher on it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had considered, because I'm developing a couple digital products, I was looking at them as a viable marketplace, but like, think about all the people that were selling their products on, Design Cuts. You were a teacher on Design Cuts.
I had a product for sale on there too, but it's the same one that's for sale on Skillshare and Gumroad or whatever. Yeah. So, but it's just one. But yeah, like Lisa Glanz though.
Right. But you know what?
She is a prolific instructor with amazing products, amazing brushes for Procreate.
Yep.
So many downloads. I just wondered like how she felt about. Maybe we should have her on as a guest because I love her.
We should reach out to her. Yeah, I buy all her shit. Like, I love her to death. The funny thing though is
she's an amazing teacher.
She really is. And I bought one thing from her on Design Cuts, and then I subscribed to her newsletter because I loved her brushes so much. And from that moment forward, I bought everything directly from her. Because she gives amazing discounts when she releases something. And so she always beat Design Cuts price. So when when they left, I was like, and I saw her because I obviously I'm on her mailing list. I got her email that was like, hey, if you're on Design Cuts, like you can always come to me and I'll help you out. Even though apparently she got flooded so much that she had to for her classes, the classes that were on Design Cuts, she could not accommodate the amount of people that were reaching out to her. So like her products, she's like, yeah, I can just get you my products. But like she ultimately had to moderate what she was giving away to people who had bought from her on Design Cuts. But for me,
how would she know too? The one thing I was wondering was how would she know?
I think she was looking for something that validated your purchase from Design Cuts. Like, cause you get a receipt. I don't remember. I'm not going to testify to court on what I just said. Oh yeah, no,
but, I don't know.
I don't remember exactly.
She's just amazing, very generous of her. Yeah,
I love her to death. But I think I've bought everything she's ever put out, quite frankly.
Oh, and I love her brushes. I use them all the time.
I do too. So yeah, I love her stuff so much. But Chris Lauren was another one. She's and there was another one I can't remember now, but they were trying to accommodate, people who had bought their products on Design Cuts, which I thought was great, but they shouldn't be in that position. Right. There should have been even if Design Cuts was like, hey, we're closing. And Creative Market is good. They should have worked it out with Creative Market. And I saw something.
It's so weird. The Design Cuts closure is weird.
It's really bizarre.
It's creepy. I don't know if shady is the right word. It's so weird because, all these platforms, they always give, at the very least, their instructors or, whoever a heads up. Ahead of time. These are, the other thing that's crazy to me too, is Design Cuts reached out to me last year, less than a year ago, and said, we saw you on Skillshare and we love your classes. Would you be interested in joining this new platform where we're going to have classes? They just did that less than a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, that was them trying to save whatever was going on. I mean, we don't have any details about why they closed. It's just that, when I think about, I'm less concerned about people who lost their downloads. And I know that's going to be unpopular with, but the way that I feel about if you bought it, you should have downloaded it.
Yeah.
So and obviously I lost some things and that's going to be unpopular and please don't flame me. I get it. Not everybody's going to agree with that. But I am more concerned with people who are selling through that platform.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially selling classes that weren't available anywhere else.
Right. I'm assuming you have your original files.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, so the way I did it was I have my Skillshare classes and then I re-edited them. Now I did spend hours recutting and re-editing my videos. I had to download them and put them into iMovie and recut them to take and strip out all the Skillshare stuff. And then I had to record new segments share your work in the Design Cuts student gallery.
Yeah.
So that that wasn't a 5-minute task. But all of my products that were on Design Cuts, my classes and my brush box and stuff, are also already on Skillshare. Same things. So I was like, well, that sucks for me, but it's already there. And I save all my raw video files and, the classes and, everything. So I can easily you know, I can easily do that, but not everyone does. And also, what about the people who bought classes that maybe didn't get a chance to watch them and they thought I'll come back to it later and now it's gone?
Yeah, that I do agree with that. Like I remember Chico recently changed his platform and I thought he handled it really well because he moved platform. He didn't close anything down, but he moved platform. So obviously I'm a Color Camp alumni, you know, and he sent out all of this like in the lead up, I'm moving, we're going to this new place, you're going to have access over here. Yes, you're going to lose access over here. Handled it so well, you know, and at a minimum, it should have been like, hey, come get your class. And we're going to make it available for you. If they were already in so much debt, they couldn't pay it, honestly. Like what? I'm sorry. Like you're already going bankrupt. So, like, you know what I'm saying?
Know.
Like,
well, but you know what? They obviously didn't care about protecting their reputation.
You know, it's that I have no words for the complete shit that was, honestly. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was totally ridiculous. But you know, it reminds me of, I can't remember the name of the person who wrote it. I know I shared it in the graphics gang, so I'll put it in the show notes here. But it was a deep, in-depth analysis of the print-on-demand industry.
Oh, I read that. That was great, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was a 6-part series. And it is why I have decided to put my stuff on. Now that I've decided to go back on print-on-demand, I decided on Fine Art America and Pixels. They're interrelated companies. So if you put one on one, you're on the other.
Oh.
And so for a couple reasons, but the primary reason is they are the only privately owned POD platform out there. Everybody else is publicly traded, which means everybody else is beholden to the shareholder and to their stock price.
Yeah.
And that's where things start to get dicey. And then a lot of these companies are not operating in the black. We think because they're popular, we think because there are so many people buying on them that means they are properly managed, and they are not.
Yeah. Yep.
And so with that in mind, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to Pixels and Fine Art America. And maybe I'm not going to, you know, I mean, I was still thinking I'm going to apply to Deny Designs at some point and be like, because honestly, I want to get in Target too.
Yeah. Who doesn't, right?
Right. You know, but I mean, like for me, just trying to like get on a platform and be out there and have like a POD site, and then Fine Art America gives you a lot of perks that like other print on demand sites don't. So, you know, so like that's the goal. Okay, fine. So like I'm going to build out over the next year or whatever. But my primary decision factor was the solvency of the company and the fact that it is privately owned and it's not beholden to the stock index.
Yeah.
And I personally think that that's huge. And maybe that's just me being a huge nerd and the fact that I got an MBA at one point in my life. But
I think that's awesome, though. I think that's a really smart decision.
I think you got to be really careful because the vulnerability, and like Shannon McNabb's industry survey came out today.
Yep.
And what did we learn? We learned that people are making less money.
Yeah.
We finally got validation for some statements that we make in later episodes, Carrie, because it is 95% white and like hugely female.
Yes, very, very much so. Yeah. So, surprise.
Right. I think the first time I mentioned that, I said I have no science to back that up. Well, now we have a survey to back that up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but people are making less money. And I love the fact that Shannon added median income in this year.
Yeah.
And not just averages, because there were a couple of times that it was like, you know, the average salary of someone doing print on demand is like $7, and I'm not sure it was print on demand. I'm making that up at this point, but like I do remember distinctly there was one fact that she put in there, and the average was 17,000, but the median was 1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at the huge difference.
Wait, can I stop you for a second? You're going to laugh.
What?
So I do not have an MBA, nor did I ever take a statistics class. Can you tell me I don't know the difference.
Sure.
What is the difference between average and median? Like,
so,
let's do it in context of income in a certain industry or whatever.
So if we have 3 different incomes, and let's say we have an income of 10,000, 50,000, and 100,000, to get an average, you're going to add all 3 of those together. And you're going, I need 4 actually to make this work. So like 100,000, 150,000. To get an average, you're going to add them all up, divide them by 4. That's your average, right? And
Okay.
so the lowest and the highest impact the average. I'm not doing the math, but that math is going to fall probably somewhere in the $75,000 range, right? So that's your average.
Okay.
But in my example, I gave 4. I said 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. The median is going to be the third of those, period. Right? So
Okay.
like when you have like the third is the median. And Shannon explains all of that in the survey as well. But it makes a
I
huge
know, I
difference.
read it. I just didn't, I still couldn't wrap my brain around it. I don't think my brain works like that. Anyway.
But it makes a huge difference because in like if you're averaging 10,000 and 150,000, right?
Yeah.
But let's say in my example, I said 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000. Then the median is 30,000.
Okay.
But the average is still going to be somewhere around 75,000.
Okay. Okay.
Because that big number, like, so the Bonnie Christines and the Stacy Bloomfields of our world skew all the averages. They
Oh,
skew them all higher, right?
Okay.
Because they're making a lot of money. So anybody,
But those people are few and far between, right?
They are few and far between. But if they respond, there were 763 people that responded to the survey. And so anybody who's making in those upper categories, they're skewing all the averages.
Okay.
So it makes it seem like you're making more.
That she did that. I'm glad she did that. Yay, Shannon. We love you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So her putting the medians, it gives a much more realistic view of what you can make in this industry. It's a huge shift in visibility for what it really looks like in our industry. And so I was so happy to see that.
Yeah.
I forgot why I brought all that up to begin with, though.
Well, we were talking about, just current events in terms of things shutting down, the surface design industry survey, and how tough it is in this industry to make a living. And I guess, I don't know if you were headed this direction, but I mean, we wanted to talk about basically all these platforms, Redbubble, Society 6, which just, did that thing that they did, Design Cuts, Skillshare, Patreon, I mean, you name it, Instagram. These are, and also Etsy. Even if you sell your own products, you're still beholden to Etsy. So here's the thing, those are all other people's platforms. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but being realistic, you are at the mercy of their business decisions, which they do not owe us an explanation or a warning.
That is correct.
Unfortunately, before they make changes, shut it down, remove us from their platform. So we always like to talk about solutions. So I don't know if you want to start, or I have my own solution, but
yeah. Well, I think, one thing I want to share is it's everything. It's not just where you sell your products. Like, for instance, little tidbit that happened to me. When I formed Owl Medicine Design, I got an Owl Medicine PayPal, right? And they were like, before I had ever made a single sale, Carrie, they told me you cannot have this account.
Why?
They said I had shady business dealings. I was like, I've literally never sold a damn thing. And so what are you
business dealings? What does that mean?
What are we talking about? And to be fair, because people are like, well, how do you have an Owl Medicine PayPal now? It was under my business. Owl Medicine is a DBA. I'm doing business as Owl Medicine Designs.
Oh, okay.
But my legal company name is something different. And that's the account that they shut down. I had never made a single sale. And so I was kind of like, well, fuck you very much, PayPal.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying when we're talking about other people's platforms. So like, I'm on Stripe. Like, so we went to Stripe. Yes, I do have an Owl Medicine PayPal because I have enough people that want to pay me through PayPal. And they did not tell me the same thing, but they also told me I could not argue. I could not appeal. I could do nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So in doing my DBA, which is all legal, blah, 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 like I was able to get this account. But the thing to understand is you can be shut down without warning. I know Etsy has shut down shops of some artists. I've seen
they do
posts.
it all the time. And they do it with AI. They don't even do it with people. They often use, from what I've heard, they often use bots, or not bots, but I mean, they don't have the manpower, people power to be able to, evaluate every account. So I'm sure they use, understandably, some sort of technology that is like, this shop sells Disney
Right.
merchandise or whatever, or what we think is Disney merchandise.
Right.
Therefore, that's an IP infringement. Therefore, goodbye.
Right. And I recently opened an Etsy shop. So I now have an Etsy shop and I am slowly kind of building it out as well.
Yay!
But everything I put up there, every time it's not throwaway. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's me doing it knowing there may come a day where I do not have it.
Yeah.
They can take it from me anytime they want. So I balance how much time and energy I'm putting into it with that. Like, I am never going to rely on Etsy solely for everything that I bring in, period.
Me neither.
I'm never going to do that.
I'd love to, but no.
Wouldn't that be nice? I know, like I said, I'm also building out a POD site this year. I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket either, but I'm also at this point in time not making the decision to build out my own personal web shop on my personal website.
Yeah.
I highly recommend every single person needs to have their own website, and not just rely on your Instagram account, Cara, wherever you may have landed, have your own website. The ISPs are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Legislation may impact what you can do, how you can do it. Who knows? Privacy, whatever. We're in a changing landscape every day when it comes to legislation. The internet runs the world. The ISPs are not going anywhere. We learned that in COVID. The ISPs are not going anywhere. Have your own website.
Yeah.
The only way to avoid being at the mercy of somebody else's platform, truly, legitimately, is to build your own fucking server and stand it up. Nobody's going to do that.
And build your own shopping platform, because if you use Shopify, you're dependent on them.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do that. So no matter what, you are always taking on a certain level of risk. And quite frankly, that's what makes you an entrepreneur. If you're not taking a risk, you're not an entrepreneur. That's like the definition of being a business owner in the capitalist world.
Yeah.
So it's a risk. How do you moderate that risk? Don't put your eggs all in one basket. But also, like I did, right? I did the research. I read the articles. It was me doing the research that led me to share that to the graphics gang. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with this platform because they're not beholden to a stockholder. Okay.
Yeah, that's really smart. I didn't even know about them. So
yeah,
cool.
And I mean, is it going to be perfect? I don't know. I might not make a single sale, but I've decided that that's where I'm going to, put those products, and that's where I'm going to go, and that's fine. But I think that realistically, nobody's going to do everything it takes to be completely insulated from the decisions that somebody else can make. And I think you just have to go in with eyes open and understand that if you're putting your product on somebody else's platform, you are vulnerable to the decisions they make, and therefore do not, back yourself into a corner with it.
Yeah, agreed. And my solution is the same as yours. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And go into it. So as soon as I saw the Society 6 news, what I thought to myself was, this is the same thing as if you were working at a company and then all of a sudden the company shuts down. So that doesn't happen very often, but my boyfriend is in tech. And let me tell you, those companies love to get acquired and close down. And he had a company that he had been working for he was with them for a while, and they were great. And it wasn't, it wasn't like them trying to be jerks, but they one day were like, guess what? We're gone. Tomorrow or today is your last day. And that happens in the corporate world all the time. It happens in the business world all the time. And, it is similar because that is your income.
Yeah.
And I have to say that we have all of us who are artists who have been selling our art on print on demand for the last several years. If you've been on there and you've experienced any sales, we have been really lucky, because there is no other type of job in the world where you can create some art and put it somewhere and then walk away and then make money on it every month. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
there's art licensing. There's other ways to do that. But print on demand is less effort than art licensing.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Art licensing is amazing. I'm a huge fan, but I have to spend hours and hours and hours pitching and then hours following up and then sending new art and dealing with contracts and all this stuff. With print on demand, you literally upload a JPEG and then you walk away. And if you're lucky, you make money on it.
Right.
That is amazing. And
Yeah.
we have all gotten used to that, you know, and because we've gotten used to that, then when the rug gets pulled out from under us, it's like, what? So just remember that we have been really fortunate. It's not the end of print on demand. It's not even the end of Society 6, but take it with a grain of salt as well, because that was amazing. And it isn't the way it used to be. And it may be better in the future. Who knows? Maybe these companies are going to make it better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But don't put all your eggs in one basket. And, you know, I have income streams that range from, I've said this before, hosting trivia at a bar to, you know, selling on print on demand, to art licensing, to teaching, to having a Patreon, to coaching.
Yeah.
And I have like 50 jobs because that is the only way I can feel secure.
Yep.
And insulate myself from the inevitable rocky roller coaster that is other people's platforms.
Right. And to be fair, I have two things that I want to say too. So to be fair, I'm a facilitator for a regional arts alliance. I teach, you know, individual classes. I teach workshops. You know, I have a full-time job, you know, in the tech industry, you know, and then I'm now doing POD and Etsy, you know, and art licensing and, you know, and a shit ton of freelance design. So like we call those portfolio incomes. And like, so my portfolio is wide for this exact reason. The one thing I do want to touch on, you know, and listeners, I'm going to say this. If you want to email us. We're twocrankycreatives@gmail.com, because you might not like what I'm about to say. But
you're inviting flame war.
Let us know. So here's the thing. And because I see, like, I'm in a lot of groups, you know, for the various platforms and surface design industry. And I see like Spoonflower made changes not too long ago to its commission structure. That caused, you know, a huge a lot of outrage. Yes. Obviously, Redbubble and Society 6, before they made the current one, they changed their fee structures as well. I was invited to stay on Redbubble, but I closed my shop because I was walking away. You know, and a lot of what I saw was we're the artists, we make their business work. I agree with that 100%. They don't fucking care. Yeah. Who we are as an artist does not mean a thing. We live in a capitalist world.
Yep.
And so, and this is my MBA coming into play. I had to take an economics class. And I knew I was never going to be a good, like corporate America person when I got a C in that class. But I got a C in that class because I got into
I didn't even take that class. So
it's the one and only economics class I took. I got a C in it because I got into a fight with the instructor because we had to do some assignment and has some stupid case study. And as part of it, they were talking about the fact when companies have layoffs, their stock prices go up.
Yeah.
And the reason their stock prices go up is because their expenses have now been reduced. And the number one expense any company has is talent, labor, right? And so that is dichotomy. That is like diametric. I'm sorry, that margarita's kicking in. Diametrically opposed to the way I think of things, right? So I'm like, all right, this does not work for me. I do not appreciate, like, I'm not good. Like, okay, this is not for me. Definitely not, like, economics and I don't work together. So, but this is a truth. And so this is yet another reason why I made the decision that I did around Fine Art America, because that means Society 6, Redbubble, Threadless, like all of them are beholden to a stock. They're beholden to their stock price. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make the most money they can for their stockholders, not the artists who put art on it. And that means we are always going to get the short end of the stick of their corporate decisions.
That's true.
Period.
I'm going to agree with you on that. So if you're going to send a complaining email, you're going to be complaining to me too, because that is true. You're not really stating an opinion. I mean, that is the fact. And that's kind of why we wanted to have this podcast, because these realities need to be talked about. People need to be aware. And then you need to be thinking about what solutions you're going to employ that work for you, so you can insulate yourself as best as you can from having the rug pulled out from under you.
That's right. So have you been on the fence about creating that course? Create that course. If you have been thinking about maybe, I want to do more in-person markets, do those markets. Think about strategically where you can invest your time in multiple revenue streams to insulate yourself from these decisions as much as possible. That is my best advice. Yeah.
And I'm going to add one last thing to that. I would say, I think that's great advice. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're going to spend your time doing something, do the thing that you enjoy the most. Because even if you spend, time on Redbubble and you're like, okay, I'm going to put my art on here, you may not make any sales, but at least you enjoyed it. Sometimes I find uploading to print on demand sites like a fun puzzle. Like, really, it's almost like I get a rush. Like, oh, look at how that looks on that tote bag. That's so cool. So I actually enjoy doing that. If I had been, hating it the whole time, I would have been, even more mad, I guess, because it's like, oh, I was like pulling teeth and I did it and now my stuff's gone anyway. So if you're going to spend time doing things and looking at new income streams, make sure that whatever you're doing is something that is rewarding to you somehow, spiritually, emotionally, creatively, so that even if nothing comes of it, because it's all kind of a test, it's all throwing spaghetti at the wall, at least you enjoyed it. At least you had fun.
Exactly.
So you get something out of it for yourself. Because why are we doing this? Not to make money. We're doing it because we love it.
Exactly. And I think that is a great note to end on for that.
Nice.
Cool. So at this point, you've heard some hot seat questions with Hannah Cole, who was in the last episode. So Carrie and I decided it would be fun for each other to be in the hot seat.
Yes.
So we're going to ask some questions, give you a chance to get to know us a little bit better. Carrie, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'm going to ask you first.
Okay.
And I'm also going to preface it with, right now we're going to ask each other our favorites and least favorites. At first, you may hear some episodes where we're asking people's favorites of certain things. And then it's going to shift a little bit into least favorite because we're two cranky creatives, but we're going to do both because why not? We want you to get to know us a little better. So, all right, here we go. So, Toni, first of all, what is your favorite color?
So my favorite color in design is like this deep cherry red.
Ooh.
My favorite color is royal purple.
Ooh.
But I do not wear it.
Oh, but you don't wear it, but you liked royal purple as far as clothing?
Yeah, I love it. Like I have a lot of like my iPad case is purple, like but I don't wear purple because my skin tone is just pale enough or whatever. And like my whiteness that when I wear purple, it makes me yellow. So like the undertones aren't there. I look very jaundiced.
Oh, that's so funny. I say the same thing when I wear green, but yeah.
But in my design, you'll see a lot of, which is why I love cherry core being a trend right now, this like really deep cherry red that I love.
Nice. And you know what? That's a timeless color. So
yeah.
Good choice. All right. What is your favorite song?
My favorite song is a song I Need, and the artist is Maverick Sabre. And
is this like a go-to for you when you're drawing, or?
No, this is like the get through life song.
Ooh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, like when life is getting me down. In fact, it's his whole album, Lonely Are the Brave, but like I Need was the first song I ever heard from him. And it's about being in a place in your life where you're just feeling beaten down and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And and the refrain is like, I need sunshine, I need, fresh air. And it's just like about needing like a breath to like come back to yourself. And it's like this cool neo soul like vibe. And he's got this really, he's an Englishman that was raised in Ireland. He's got this weird voice and I just love it.
I've never heard of Maverick Sabre, and I'm going to go look him up on Spotify like immediately after we're done recording this. That sounds awesome. And that sounds like a song I could use too. So very cool. All right. What is your favorite, I'll say, motif and or software for creating art?
Favorite software, obviously, I'm a Procreate girl. It's what I
Or I
learned
said
to draw on.
motif. I meant medium. Sorry.
Medium. Okay, I was saying because motif. I
Not motif.
Down, but medium. So, well, in real life and analog, I have recently discovered these inks that are shellac based from Federal Color. They're called Optimus mixable inks. And so I have tried every fucking medium there is. I have tried, the watercolors, I've tried the gouache, I've tried the oils, I've tried it all. And I hate them all for one reason or another. But the thing that I hated, I love the look of watercolor and gouache, especially watercolor, but I hate the fact that it reactivates, right? So if it dries and then you want to go back over it and do a glaze, it reactivates. With these inks that I've just discovered, and they're fairly new, they're shellac based. And so they're translucent. And when they dry, they're waterproof. So you can glaze as much as you want and it will not reactivate. And then they also have opaques for shades and tints. And I am going crazy with them at this point, figuring out how they flow and what I can do with them and how long I have before they dry and all that. It's amazing. I love it. So
that sounds fun. Okay, cool. I'm going to be looking up a lot of stuff after this podcast. Okay, so what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, I think I've seen that. Wait, who's in that?
Will Ferrell in his only dramatic dramedy, because it's pseudo. I would personally call it. It's not a drama, but it's not a comedy. It's somewhere in between. Mm-hmm. And oh God, Emma, somebody, I can't remember her last name. British actress Emma is in it. And Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, so, Emma Watson,
her.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the premise of the movie is that Will Ferrell is just kind of this autistic IRS tax auditor guy living his life. And then all of a sudden he realizes he's the main character in a novel. And Emma Watson is the narrator. She's the writer. And I personally feel like anybody who's ever written a book or does any creative writing needs to watch this movie. It is so meta, but Will Ferrell is phenomenal in it. And just it's the whole thing about what if he realizes he's a character in a novel, he seeks her out. I'm not going to do any spoilers. The acting is amazing. There's a scene with Maggie Gyllenhaal that just blows my mind. She's a baker. He shows up at some point in the movie with a gift for her. And she's like, what'd you bring me? He's like, I brought you flowers. And it's all these bags of flour. It's just everything is the movie is awesome. So wonderful. And it's the first time I ever walked out of the movie theater and I was like, now I understand why movies are art. I love them. I watch it. I love it. Absolutely.
Do you watch it regularly? You watch movies? I love that. Yeah, I do the same thing. That's very cool. I'm going to have to, okay, so I'm learning all these things about you and also new things that I have never seen, listened to, or, mediums I haven't tried. Okay, now this is a new one. Mm-hmm. I have two new ones. What is if you have, and then I'm going to ask your least favorites. What is your favorite font?
My favorite font, La Rosa.
Ooh, how do you spell that?
LAROSA. It's the one I'm using in my brand. And I use it. So now I use it, I use it throughout all of my web presence and materials and everything like that. It's strictly all caps. It's very refined, elegant. I love it. So La Rosa.
La Rosa. Okay, cool. I'm going to, hopefully that's on Adobe and I can download one, then try it out. Okay. Last favorite question. Then I've got some least favorites for you. What is your favorite trend if you have one?
Well, at the moment, I'm liking cherry just because I can recode all of my shit that has my favorite red color in it and call it cherry.
Yep. Instantly trending art.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite trend. I don't know that I really have a favorite trend. I'm just happy that trend came about because it fits my art. Oh, I guess maximalism because I'm a maximalist designer. So that's trending, but those are cop outs. It's more that's what I do. and it just so happens they're trending. Yeah,
Well,
so.
but maximalism is having a moment because there's just a big backlash over minimalism because it's been like that for so long. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask your least favorite. What is your least favorite color?
Anything yellow.
Yellow. Okay.
Anything yellow.
All right.
I hate it. I hate anything yellow. It's funny because I just realized my browser is yellow. We're gonna have to change that.
Oh
So,
no. Well, I don't see a lot of yellow in your art, so that
No.
makes sense.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite song?
I don't have a least favorite song. I have a least favorite genre of music.
Oh yeah.
Mumble rap.
Oh my God, this is so weird. Wait a minute. I had never ever heard of mumble rap until literally 48 hours ago. That was the first time anyone ever said those two words to me in one sentence. And I was like, wait, what is mumble rap? And it is less than 2 days later. And now you are saying it again. This is the only two times I've ever heard those two words put together in my whole life. What is mumble rap?
So, okay. So for context for our listeners, I'm a child of the 80s. Okay. I also grew up in DC. So that means Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim. Like I was in on the ground floor when rap was new. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when rap was poetry set to a beat. When, to this day, I can separate Eric B. and Rakim lyrics from the music and just appreciate what they had to say. Right. So mumble rap, these people that are like literally mumbling over a beat. Like, I can't understand a word you're saying. I'm like, no. That is not music. That is not rap. That
is almost exactly the way the person described it to me too.
I hate it. I detest it. And I'm a person like, I don't like country, but like there's at least one or two country songs here and there. Like I can tolerate that. As soon as I hear anything off, I don't want nothing to do with it.
You're like, goodbye. Nope.
Yep.
Oh my God. That is so funny and weird. That's like this weird thing going on where it's the same two people telling me the same thing in 2 days. Okay. Mm-hmm. What is your least, I know I'm going to know this answer, least favorite medium and or software?
So least favorite software is Illustrator.
I know.
You know this. I do not hide it. But why? And to be fair, I use Illustrator for anything text-based. I've done that for 30 years, right? Like I will literally take something I've crafted and I hate Photoshop's text tools. I will take whatever I crafted in Photoshop and move it into Illustrator to work with Illustrator's text tools. I've done that for 30 years. But when it comes to drawing, I'm not a flat graphic, like that's really not what I do. I like texture and it just means that Illustrator is not really suitable for my art. And like when you image trace what I do, it loses all of its character and personality. So vectorizing my work doesn't really, so what does that mean? That means, I draw at really big sizes and then I reduce down and, and things like that. So that's okay. It's just a limitation. Least favorite medium, colored pencils.
Okay.
I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to fill in a space. I'll tell you that much.
It does, and you got to build it up, and then like my hands hurt, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have the patience.
And then next thing you know, you're like out of that color, and you're like, right. I hope the next batch I buy is going to be the same exact color.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. I've done that. Okay. Least favorite movie.
Dumb and Dumber. Hate that movie. I hate that movie with a passion. I've hated it ever since the first time I saw it. And it's that one scene with Jim Carrey. Do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? No, I don't. Please don't ever play that movie around me ever again. I hate that fucking movie.
You and me, girl. I hate that movie too. It's a terrible movie. And I don't know why it did so well, but I don't know. It had its audience. Okay. Least favorite font.
Anything in the Comic Sans-ish variety.
Okay.
Like I'm not a big
chalkboard.
I mean, it has its uses, you know what I'm saying? But just like that style of font, and I would say this is more the graphic designer in me because they all have and I would also say anything that's distorted or misshapen. And that's from just like the typography nerd that I am. Because I'm like I get into fights with my, I shouldn't call them fights, but I get into like polite disagreements with my boss all the time because of like the typography of our documentation that we put out.
Is it not readable?
Well, like we had this one document designer that like expanded and puts like is that kerning between the letters? I can't remember right
Uh-huh.
now.
Yeah.
But space between the letters. And I'm like, you don't do that. Like we're asking people to read 200-page documents. You can't fuck with the typography.
Yeah, the reason the kerning is built into these fonts that are well designed is because it's designed to be readable, especially
Right?
as like depending on what the font is, body text. Yeah.
Exactly. And people don't
Yeah.
understand legibility versus readability. And don't even get me into started why we have sans serifs all over the internet, which is completely fucking wrong,
Yeah.
and just like all of that. But I don't like, those like Comic Sans style fonts because I think people use them inappropriately.
Oh my God, they use them for everything. Yeah.
Right. And like I remember reading an article about the Higgs boson particle. Do you even remember when that was announced?
Oh yeah, no, I remember when that I was definitely paying attention to. Yeah.
So like the God particle, huge for quantum physics, like
Yeah.
all of this stuff. And they announced it using Comic Sans.
They
And
did?
they did. They announced it using Comic Sans. And
Oh
so
no.
this type foundry that I used to follow, and I can't remember the name right now, wrote this whole article.
Monotype?
I don't remember, but they wrote this whole article about how it was like the least remembered, most important announcement in the world. Something like that was like the article title or something like that, because like they used Comic Sans and nobody took it seriously. And here was this pivotal moment in quantum physics, and they used Comic Sans.
And a pivotal moment in history too. I mean, oh my God. Maybe that's why I don't remember seeing the announcement, because it was forgettable because they used Comic Sans.
Exactly.
Oh. All right. Least favorite trend.
And Carrie, you might get mad at me about this, but all that Rococo mess and prep and preppy.
I knew you were going to say that. Because it's so like uber feminine and like plays up on the demure, like, hey, ladies, be seen and not heard.
Well, I think so. It's Rococo and preppy, and they go hand in hand. So with Rococo, the issue that I have is Rococo is so much more than fancy cakes and bows and ribbons and femininity, right? And so like the Rococo movement was like ornate ornamentation and I just think like they have synthesized it down into fancy cakes and bows, and I'm like, it's so much more than that. And like preppy, like I was alive for preppy in the 80s.
Oh, me too, in the 80s.
Right? And it wasn't bows. Like
no, preppy to me, when they were like announcing Spoonflower had a preppy design challenge, and then they start saying what is preppy, and they're like bows and like I don't remember what else, but I was like, that's not preppy. Preppy is like Izod Lacoste and like braided belts and like penny loafers with no socks.
Right. And your Izod with your collar popped
collar. Yep. But that's because we're old and we're from the 80s.
I know. But, because like I love Rococo furniture.
Yeah.
Like if I had my way, I'd probably have like gilt and like Rococo, like a whole like living room, like just in Rococo style, but like what the trend has become, just like with preppy, to me, it's not what that, like they've used a name that does not reflect that.
Yeah, it's like been reimagined for 2024, 2025. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to trade places? I did color, song, software, movie, font, trend. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
I'll try to go quick.
Favorite color?
And I should probably look at my notes, right? You're going to laugh, but pink. So I am goth. I mean, I don't look goth anymore because I got tired of, wearing eyeliner and corsets every day. Well, I never wear corsets every day, but I am a goth, whether I look like it on the outside or not. But I love designing with pink. It's the one color I'm not getting sick of. It's the one color that makes me happy to look at, especially Pepto-Bismol pink. I don't wear it, although I actually am toying with the idea of wearing it. But I love designing with it. It's just fun and versatile. And to me, it's like neutral now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love a good corset. So
yeah. I mean, God, they're not comfortable though.
They're great for your posture though. All right. Favorite medium or software?
So my favorite software is Adobe Illustrator. I would say my favorite medium is also Adobe Illustrator. And here's why. Because I have tried a lot of different pencil and, watercolor. I haven't even opened the pack of gouache that I spent way too much money on. I'm like thinking if this is going to be like watercolor, I'm going to throw it out the window. But the thing is that I am a computer person at heart. I started using computers in the late 90s, and I just understand computers and I trust them. Even when they screw up, I'm like, well, it must be my fault. And Adobe Illustrator is because I've been using it for so long, and then I started learning how to draw in it with a pencil tool. And I like flat graphics. So I happen to be creating a lot of textured art. That's because that's what sells. I don't dislike textured art, but if I had my way, everything I created would be minimalist and super flat and really bright and graphic, and it would look like Saul Bass. I mean, I wish my art does not look like Saul Bass, but yeah, I love Adobe Illustrator.
Favorite song?
My favorite song is Warlock by Skinny Puppy, and now my goth is showing, because that song is just a really nice, somehow relaxing to me way to help me concentrate, and also has gotten me through some rough times.
I'll have to look that one up.
You're going to listen to it and be like, what is wrong with her? Okay.
Your favorite movie?
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Really? Why?
Yep. I saw that movie when I was 3, and I went into film because of that movie. Because that movie, I watch it at least twice a year, because everything about that movie to me is magical. I love Steven Spielberg and John Williams together. I love everything they do. And the music is its own character in that. And it is so elegantly done. And the way they build suspense is incredible. I mean, movies, I feel like, have copied that. I mean, nobody is Spielberg, I'll tell you that much. But it's just a really moving story. And to me, it's like, this is what I wish would happen if aliens came. Mm-hmm. There's no way that that's going to happen. I mean, if they ever come. But that's what I wish would happen.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I saw that movie when I was very young too. Favorite font?
So Cooper right now. So Cooper is having a moment. I'm pretty sure everyone started seeing it everywhere without realizing it, because the 70s vintage Burger King, I think, went back to their old font, which I think is a custom font. Mm-hmm. But I used to hate Cooper, and it made me it annoyed me because it was like, oh, that looks like a 70s magazine ad. But here's the thing. 70s magazine ads are cool. Yeah. And I love Cooper is just so fun, and it's readable and versatile. And I wouldn't use it as body type. It's a display typeface, but, or at least Cooper Black is. That's my favorite. But yeah, Cooper.
I'll have to look that one up. I've probably seen it. I just don't know the name.
Oh, you've seen it, or its sister, Souvenir.
Oh, I know Souvenir. Okay. So
yeah, that's like slightly heavier Cooper, basically.
Got it. Okay. Favorite trend?
You're going to laugh. Guess what my favorite trend is?
I don't know.
Rococo.
I mean, I've seen you doing like your cakes, so I was like, oh, she's bought into that trend.
And it's funny because I'm a feminist, and I am an angry, opinionated person who likes black and is goth and grew up being like, fuck the system. But I don't know why. It's just like a fun escape. And I absolutely loved Sofia Coppola's movie, Marie Antoinette, that came out a while ago. Mm-hmm. Beautiful production design, incredible. And it's just fun. It's just like a fun escape. I don't really enjoy creating art that's gothy. Yeah. I want to create art that's like an escape for me into another world that I would never be caught dead in.
And to be fair, I love what you're doing with it. So, I love to see your stuff. Like, I saw your cakes online the other day, and I was just like, they're so cute. It's not something I'd ever draw, but they're so cute.
It's such the antithesis of my internal world, because my internal world is like a woman fist going, fuck the system. But then yell, ladies, yell louder, louder, louder,
Well,
then I'm like, oh, but let's be demure and pretty.
I think we're all like that though. Like I'm from PG County, Maryland. Okay. Like I went to high school in PG County, Maryland. And I just saw this video online on Facebook the other day. And it was like 5 cities in America you don't want to get into a fight in. And number one was, and he said, and I'm giving a whole county to number one. He's like, girls and guys, PG County. And I'm like, we're so hood.
Yeah.
And yet here I am. I'm all like sophisticated elegance in what I do. Cause my husband always says he took me out the hood, but he didn't take the hood out of me. So,
Yep. Yep.
All right. Least favorites. What is your least favorite color?
Cool gray. Not gray, cool gray. Because it is sterile and impersonal and boring.
I agree with you. I'm like, if it's a gray, I need it to be I need to have shades of blue in it.
Otherwise, yeah, like a warm gray is inviting and cozy. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Least favorite software and or medium.
All right. So I don't know if any of my licensing partners are listening. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy using it. It doesn't mean that I don't use it. And I'm really falling in love with it, but it's still my least favorite, Procreate.
I knew you were going to say that.
And here's why, because God damn it, I can't move something without it getting pixelated. If I just copy and paste something, I have it all. My settings are fine. Everything's right. And also I hate the fear that someone might want something bigger later because I'm not going to be able to do it unless I vectorize it, and then it just won't be the same because you do lose the texture.
Yes. So just a couple quick things. So one, yes, I always design like my motifs at bigger sizes. I save them in their originals and then I shrink them and move those around.
Yeah. And save your layers. Yeah.
And save your layers. But if you always duplicate your original, not your copy, you will not have that pixelation problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and until you unclick that thing, you can reshape it, move it, twist it, do whatever without harming your pixelation at all. But I still say the next update is going to have huge things for us.
Yes, I am really hopeful. Maybe Procreate will be my favorite if they can just handle some of these issues that drive me crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next because there are things I don't like about it too. So, all right, least favorite song.
Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. I already thought about these ahead of time. That is absolutely the worst song. And I like Patsy Cline and I like some country. And Loretta Lynn, I love her.
Oh yeah.
Nope, no Achy Breaky Heart for me.
Yeah, I will wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. Least favorite movie.
Tusk.
I never saw that. I've heard about it, but I did not see it.
It's not that it's not a well done movie. It's just hard to watch. It's not well, it is disturbing. It's just, all I have to say is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go read the synopsis for Tusk and maybe watch the trailer. It's horrible. I have nightmares about being trapped in a room and having to watch it again.
Yeah.
It makes my skin crawl.
We'll avoid that one. Least favorite font?
My least favorite font, which is a kind of a love-hate relationship, and I kind of have an obsession with this font, is Hobo.
I know that
because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And everyone uses it. Now, it does have the right application, just like any font, but people use Hobo for the stupidest things. Hobo is a silly, lighthearted, fun font, which actually, fun fact is, I believe, from the 20s. Even though people think it's like from the 90s or whatever, I believe it's actually was invented in the 1920s. It is readable, which is good, but I swear to God, if I see one more like law office that uses Hobo for their sign, that is wrong. Do not do that.
I agree. In many ways, it's as bad as curls. Like I see curls on signs all over the damn place. Ugh. All right. Least favorite trend.
My least favorite trend is probably not that I don't enjoy it, and not that I haven't even semi-recently created art with this trend, is mushrooms, because I feel like it's had its time. It's tired. I don't feel like drawing any more mushrooms. I'm sure if somebody asked me to, like a licensing partner, I would. They're not hard to draw, but I'm just kind of tired of them because they're just plants and they're not that exciting. And honestly, they always end up looking like penises. So when I'm drawing them, I'm like, how can I draw this where it doesn't look like a dick? So I'm kind of hoping that trend goes away because I feel a little awkward when I'm drawing this. And this is coming from somebody who just made art with a cat litter box that says I'm done with this shit. But it just makes me a little uncomfortable to draw mushrooms.
That's awesome. And on that wonderful note,
You're turning red.
I know, because I love that so much. That is so funny. Yeah, because I am very much that, like, I have an inner 12-year-old.
Yeah. Oh my
You
God.
know?
I don't, mine's not inner, mine's on the outside.
You know, so like penis jokes, anything like that, I'm real quick to let that little juvenile out. So, you know,
Oh yeah.
hilarious. Well, I hope that everybody learned a little bit more about us, and got to, you know, I don't know, experience our likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
If you're loving this podcast, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And while you're at it, we'd love it if you could rate and review us. Your support helps more people discover the show, and it keeps us going strong. Thanks for tuning in. It means a lot. I'm Toni.
And I'm Carrie. It's okay to be cranky.
In the meantime, keep creating.